Okay, wonderful. Welcome, everybody. I know we have more and more people joining, but it's 6:01 on the East Coast of the United States. So I want to begin our webinar and welcome everyone. And before I introduce Monica and we'll begin the webinar, I just want to give you a few housekeeping items. My name is Gosha White, and I am the Sales and Marketing Director at Language Testing International, and I will be today's moderator. Thank you for joining us. So to begin, this webinar is being recorded, so you will receive the link to the recording in a few days. Everybody's muted. It's to make sure we don't get any background noise. If you have questions for the presenter or for one of the LTI team members, please use the chat function to ask us questions. We will follow up with an email after the webinar with more information and the link to the webinar. And now I would like to introduce Monica Rodriguez Salvo, who will be your presenter today. Monica is a graduate teacher of English and holds a postgraduate degree in Human Resources Management by Universidad del Belgrano. She's also a certified and accredited neural language coach. I think I'm butchering this. I'm sorry, Monica. And a mindfulness practitioner. She graduated from University of California and holds a diploma in social and emotional learning from San Diego University. She currently runs her own educational institution called Inspired, and she reaches out to hundreds of students and teachers around the world. She's an international speaker and has presented extensively around the world in Argentina, Uruguay, Ecuador, Chile, Colombia, Brazil, UK, Peru, Germany, France, Spain, and the United States. And we are so happy that she is presenting for us today. She is an author of several chapters and sections in English learning textbooks on social and emotional learning. So without further ado, Monica, welcome and thank you. And I'm looking forward to this wonderful webinar.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Gosha, so much. Thank you for your welcoming words, and welcome everybody who's joining us. I'm so excited and thrilled to be part of this webinar today. Level Up Village, Global Connections. I will share a lot of information about social and emotional learning today. So let me just start by sharing my screen and my presentation so that we can really get started in this webinar. We'll be together for about an hour. I live in Buenos Aires. I'm currently located in Buenos Aires. So this is our Argentinian welcome to all of you from all over the continent, I would say, because there are people joining us from Uruguay, from Peru, from different parts in the United States. So really, really happy to be sharing this session with you today. And as I usually do, I would like to start our session in the right mood, okay? So I thought about sharing, instead of having like our traditional, agenda and the different steps of the presentation and all the wonderful ideas that we have to share with you today, I thought about sharing instead some powerful words that I would like to walk you through today, and some music just to get ourselves into the mood. Today, I would like to talk about, and I would like to share ideas with you about emotions, of course, about diversity, authentic, real practice in English, equity, social brain. We'll talk a lot about the social brain today, inclusion, intercultural communication, culture, language, How exciting does this sound to all of you? It's really, really very exciting for me. And I wanted to share all these words just to get started, because these are the powerful concepts we'll walk through today during this presentation. Remember, I cannot interact with you right now, but you can leave all your questions and your comments in the chat. We'll be checking that before we finish our session, because we'll have a space for questions and answers, hopefully before we finish. So now that we are about to start, and I shared these powerful concepts with you that will be appearing throughout our presentation, I wanted to talk a little bit about something I'm sure we are all interested in before talking about social and emotional learning, which is my passion and my love. Level Up Village and love too. We call it love in the team. So Level Up Village and how it is interwoven into the development of interpersonal skills and personal skills as well. But this image I'm sharing with you is all about deep learning. And I'm sure as teachers of any languages, we are all interested in our students developing the right skills for life, right? Not only just to pass our tests or to demonstrate their skills only with the language, but we all teachers know that our classes, our sessions, every time we meet with our students, there is an opportunity for deep learning to happen. So what do we know about deep learning when we talk about rigorous academic content and learning experiences for life? And I want to share with you my first pyramid today, using also the colors that you can see on this slide right now. So the question, again, the driving question for this slide is, what do we need? Yes, what is the evidence base that we have for how deep learning happens? So after more than 20 years of research in many different disciplines, a wide range of disciplines, such as brain science, philosophy, psychology, social science, etc. What has been demonstrated is that deep learning experiences happen when there are three elements that work together at the same level. My first element today is what you see there on the screen as social and interpersonal skills and competencies. This is going to be the social brain I will talk about today. The second aspect that is involved in any meaningful deep learning experience is, of course, our cognitive skills. We are talking about critical thinking, about metacognitive skills, problem solving, everything that has to do with memory retrieval, and everything that is involved in our brain, our cognitive skills and competencies. And the last element in my pyramid, my dear teachers, is going to be emotional skills and competencies. So emotional skills and competencies are everything related to our own way of expressing our emotional world, so that those emotions drive our actions and demonstrate our values as human beings. And the social and interpersonal skills, such as collaboration, team building, empathy, and everything that we know is so crucial today in terms of the development of what we used to call in the past soft skills. We no longer call them soft skills, but life skills or cross skills. And so then we have our pyramid of deep learning. So deep learning only happens when our brain, our emotions, and our social capacities are involved in the teaching and learning process. And I want to share this piece of research, which is really interesting. This is, of course, by an interesting piece I would like to recommend that is called From a Nation at Risk to a Nation of Hope. This is from the Aspen Institute. It has already a couple of years, but it's quite interesting. And so in this first part of the webinar, I would like to share some ideas, some research-based ideas about social and emotional learning and the learning of languages and everything that we love teaching, because we are teachers. So we are already I would say, to newer experts in emotional and social capacities. Also, I would like to mention that social and emotional learning, social and emotional capacities are part of the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations, especially in the aspects of quality education, where we look forward or where we seek to develop societies that are more peaceful, more aligned to equity, where gender equality is also present. And both these aspects are also present in our project of Level Up Village and Global Connections. And I will share some examples today as we go along in the presentation. And I will also share some hands-on activities for each of the areas of social and emotional development today, so that you can take with you like a small toolkit, yes, for emotions and social capacities today, ready to implement in your classrooms, okay? So again, when we talk about social and emotional learning, the United Nations is really pulling these objectives and these capacities as part of their Sustainable Development Goals. There is another interesting piece of research that I would like to share with you that is precisely by United Nations and UNESCO, and that is this one with Thinking Learning. And I extracted these ideas about social and emotional learning to start asking ourselves one of the most important questions: why is it that we talk so much about social and emotional learning in the classroom? And one of the extracts from this piece of research is that we need to be creative in helping our students, in helping young people face the challenge of a world that is rapidly changing. And we do know how rapidly it is changing. And that is precisely where emotional intelligence and social skills can become the best assets to navigate through those changes. Social and emotional learning can be described, according to this document, as all types of learning that allows our learners to identify and navigate their emotions, practice mindful engagement, and exhibit pro-social behaviors for human flourishing towards what I mentioned at the beginning, this objective of building up peaceful and sustainable societies in our planet. Another very interesting piece of research that I recommend if you really want to understand the relevance of social and emotional learning from the perspective of United Nations. Now I'm shifting a little bit to give you this brief introduction about what social and emotional learning is. And this is a definition by CASEL. As you know, we work with the CASEL framework, with the CASEL organization framework, which divides these capacities into intrapersonal and interpersonal skills. I will mention them in a second. But here the definition is that social and emotional learning is integral part of educational human development. It is a process, and I would emphasize the word process here. It is a process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, and achieve personal and social, personal and collective goals, feel and show and demonstrate empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. I would like to stop for a second right now. I have a lot of ideas to share with you, but I would like you to take a minute to go through this definition and share with me in the chat which are those words and those phrases that resonate with you as a teacher from this definition of social and emotional learning. So let's give ourselves a minute to reflect a little bit on which are those words, those phrases, maybe those verbs, those actions, where you can see yourselves reflected as teachers in terms of emotions, the brain, and our social capacities. So I will be reading you, remember, in the chat. What are those words and phrases that call your attention to this definition of social and emotional learning? Okay, thanks, Margaret. So supportive relationships, absolutely. This is when we move into the interpersonal sphere. I will share with you the different areas in a second. Managing our emotions. This is all about emotional agility. Feel and show empathy and demonstrate, I would say, yes, empathy for others. That is building empathic networks of connection with others. Personal, both, yes, Belen, personal and collective and social goals. And Mark says, manage emotions, make responsible and caring decisions. Absolutely. Apply the knowledge, says Consuelo. Yes, yes, absolutely. Empathy. Thank you so much for sharing. It makes me feel I'm not alone. You know, it's like I'm speaking to myself whenever I'm delivering these online sessions. So thank you for being there. Thank you for sharing your ideas. Absolutely, Ashley, this idea of developing healthy identities and foster collective change and growth. This is all about social and emotional learning and capacities. And today we'll learn together what's the connection between all these very, very powerful concepts and Level Up Village and global connections and this platform that we are so happy to share with all of you today. So a short video now that focuses, there are some definitions, yes, that sum up what we've seen so far in these previous slides, but there is also a focus on the research that we know about the impact of social and emotional learning on our students and their learning capacities. Shall we watch the video together? Let's do it.
There's a lot of talk these days about SEL, social emotional learning. But what exactly is it? Social emotional learning is the process of learning social and emotional skills, and it's just as important as learning reading or math. This learning process is most effective when it begins early and continues through high school. Social emotional skills are essential for success in school, work, and life. With SEL, students learn to manage their own emotions and behaviors, have empathy and show care and concern for others, solve problems effectively, make responsible decisions, and maintain healthy relationships. Students learn to recognize what's happening inside them and to be aware of their emotions, which helps them deal with strong emotions and impulsive behaviors. It helps them stop, take a breath, and think about a situation before acting. Students learn to identify others' emotions and perspectives, which helps them empathize and show compassion, no matter who they are or what their background is. It's not difficult to imagine how this is important in the classroom and in life. Students learn to solve problems in peaceful ways and communicate assertively about what they need or want. This helps them get along with other students and get the help they need from adults. When students learn to make responsible decisions about their lives and their future, things can turn out better. Research shows social emotional learning makes a difference. Students who participate in SEL do better academically, have improved attitudes and behaviors, and act in delinquent or disruptive ways less often. In the United States, students with strong social-emotional competence are twice as likely to earn a college degree and nearly 50% more likely to graduate from high school and have a full-time job by age 25. Just as important, students who are socially and emotionally competent have more friends. This means they're more likely to feel connected to school and do well, and less likely to be left out or bullied. Simply put, by participating in social-emotional learning, students learn the skills to succeed in every facet of school and the rest of their lives.
Excellent. So a little bit of the research that we've got on the impact of social and emotional learning, it is definitely related to improving academic results as well, not only what we call life skills, but also academic results. And there's a lot of very strong research on the field of the impact between academics and the development of social and emotional skills. So according to CASEL precisely, I am sharing now with you the different areas, right? The different domains for social and emotional development. That starts, of course, with what you see, the areas that you see now in orange, right? In this diagram, in this pie chart. And these are, of course, self-awareness and self-management. So the first area where we always start our programs, I have been developing programs for social and emotional learning for many different schools in Latin America for the last 6 years. And we always start at the same place. There's always the same starting point, which, as you can imagine, is self-awareness. So both self-awareness and self-management are part of our intrapersonal skills. This is when we jump into ourselves. We work with ourselves first so as to be more ready for connections and interchanges with the world. So when we talk about self-awareness, basically, we are referring to our capacities to realize, to recognize our own strengths, our own weaknesses, to recognize our emotions, to inhabit those emotions, so as to then move into self-management, which is emotional regulation, what you have mentioned as an important aspect, extremely important aspect that we really need to keep on developing. And if not, take what happened at the Oscars, yes, with Will Smith. I love Will Smith. But this was like a huge example of emotional deregulation, right? So emotional regulation is absolutely key in order to make wiser decisions, right? Responsible decision-making, that is our area there in yellow. In Level Up Village, within the platform, students will have the opportunity to develop self-awareness, for example, through introducing themselves. So students will have to record a video that will be safely placed online, and they will have to talk about themselves. It seems like a very easy task, but whenever we are asked to, okay, record a video of a couple of minutes or 1 minute saying who you are, it's not such an easy task. We really need to connect with ourselves. We really need to understand our own worlds, who we are, what's important for us, what is it that we want to share with others about ourselves that is important. Yes, so in the platform, when students start having these interactions online, the first thing they will have to do is to introduce themselves. It's an excellent example of how self-awareness is important in order to make those decisions about what are we going to show others about ourselves. Then we have, of course, self-management, as I said before, emotional regulation, everything that has to do with decreasing our levels of reactivity, being less reactive, inhabiting our emotions, processing them so that we can separate and regulate our impulse response. Yes, so I'll talk about emotional regulation more in a second, and I will share more examples with you. When we move into the interpersonal skills is where we move into the green areas in our pie. Social awareness, of course, is the springboard, yes, for all relationship skills. So we start also with social awareness, the same as we started with our own self-awareness. And then we move into relationship skills building. How does this manifest in love, in Level Up Village? We have a lot of examples, for example, for social awareness. I will share a couple of them with you today. And relationship building, this idea of fostering positive relations between our students from different parts of the world, who have different realities, who live in very, very varied and rich cultures, but that are very different, maybe one from the other, and how all these aspects foster not only social awareness, but the way we connect to that world and to people with different backgrounds and different lives and different lifestyles. And then, of course, the last aspect is responsible decision making. This is the one that in a way comprises the previous four in terms of developing accountable, responsible young learners, and in the future adults that might contribute better to our society. So this is a little bit of the CASEL framework that we use, yes, to develop global connections and the connection with precisely these emotional intelligence and skills. There is something else I want to mention today, because whenever we teachers of different languages are teaching what we love doing, that is English or Spanish or any other language, when we focus on language, we are talking about communication. So it's really very important for us to share with you this importance of intercultural awareness, yes, and how language and culture are interwoven together to create better communication, to create better bridges within our different societies between our students. In Love, what we like to share is this idea that language and culture go hand in hand, and that any language learning experience is naturally intercultural, yes? And it is developed, of course, and scaffolded by our interpersonal skills, and it's definitely backed up by all our social awareness, our relationship building skills, because language is about communication, and teaching languages is about allowing our students to inhabit different worlds. And this is a wonderful opportunity that we've got. But I don't know about you. As a teacher, as an English teacher, I'm always on the lookout for authentic opportunities to help our students connect with the reality of languages. And that is something that cannot be recreated in a textbook. I mean, it can be simulated, but it's not a real thing. Love is all about the real thing, and I will share some examples with you later today. In the video, I shared some evidence of the impact of social and emotional learning on students' outcomes, on students' lives. But social and emotional learning is extremely important for us teachers first. There's also a vast array of research that demonstrates the positive impact of the development of the emotional and social skills for us teachers. And they range from developing and managing nurturing relationship with our students, being present and being able to connect truly to the teaching experience, not only the learning, the teaching experience, serving as role models for our students. Emotional regulation, we really need to be very much self-regulated as teachers because we are role models, and regulating our own emotions will definitely impact on what we call the classroom climate, the classroom atmosphere, how secure our students feel, how comfortable we as teachers feel sharing, right? Sharing these learning experiences with our students. So again, social and emotional learning has great benefits for us teachers too. We know that as educators, we are challenged by this dual nature of education, right? On one hand, we do have to have our focus on academic excellence, academic achievement, but at the same time, we do know that to prepare our students for life, we need to tap into their social and emotional well-being. And this is something that has also been documented in research. So we have this dual approach, and I know I know, my dear teachers, because I am a mind reader, so I know what you're thinking at this very moment. What? What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say here that apart from all the homeworks I've got to correct, apart from these piles, maybe now they are not piles, but piles of online files that I have to check from my students' projects and the parents' meetings and the staff meetings and the coordinators' meetings and all sorts of meetings all around, I also have to think about developing these skills? My answer, my dear teachers, is yes. But the good news is you are already working on it. You have been experts on social and emotional development so far because it is inherent to the nature of being a teacher. So when they ask me about how do we do it, because it seems like crazy, I have no time to do all the corrections. I have no time to comply with the can-do statements and the curricula and the international exams and everything. How do we do it? My answer has two different aspects. How do we teach social and emotional learning? There is an opportunity, there is the arrow in blue, of curriculum development. This is what I call interventions. Yes. When you, for example, create and bring activities from Level Up Village, for example, and your students are prompted with very carefully designed activities for teachers and students, they are prompted into developing these skills, yes? We are fostering the development through different activities, through different projects in Level Up Village. But at the same time, we all deal with these things every single day in every single class. Raise your hands, I cannot see you, but raise your hands if you deal with conflict in your classrooms. If you deal with, oh yes, I can see your hands, that's great. I forgot that I could see you raising your hands, that's great. Raise your hands if you deal with frustration. Raise your hands if you, again, deal with different conflicts among your students all the time. This is what I call the emergent practice. So you might have the most beautiful Level Up Village global connections activities, all carefully designed for you. If it is not in your spirit, it will be very difficult for that to become real for your students. So the real thing is emergent practice. Whenever there is a conflict among your students, whenever one of your students feels extremely frustrated, whenever another student cannot properly regulate their emotions and the impact on their actions is not the best one. So there are two levels, okay? Both are extremely important. But what my teachers always ask me is, where do we get authentic material that might help in the language development, as well as developing at the same time social and emotional skills? This is where Level Up Village can help. And then every single opportunity we have every single day to teach social and emotional learning, we only need present teachers who are there to see and to connect with their students. That's all you need. And then if you have all these beautiful materials provided by Level Up Village and our platform, that's fantastic, yes, because you save a lot of time. Everything has been carefully designed for you. So this is the answer to the question, how do we do it? Yes, I don't have time for this. So we have everything ready for you. Let's start with self-awareness. Remember? Do you remember? Type a yes in the chat if you remember that self-awareness was the first step in our journey of social and emotional development. Is there a yes in the chat? Do you remember that this was our starting point? We need to start with ourselves. Okay. This is the first activity we'll do together. And I will ask you to follow along with me. Okay. This activity, of course, is not by me, it's by Dr. Mark Brackett. You must have heard about him and the ruler approach. Dr. Mark Brackett and his mood meter. So this is a mood meter, and I want to invite you, my dear teachers, to take a minute for yourselves. At this very moment, we'll jump in. And as you can see, we've got two different quadrants. We've got the energy on the vertical axis. We have pleasantness on the horizontal axis. I would like to rate yourselves. I would like you to rate yourselves. This is self-awareness in terms of energy and pleasantness at this moment. So maybe you are in a 3 in level of energy and in a -1 in level of pleasantness at this moment. Where these two lines meet is the red, for example, in this case, or the color where you will be landing. I will set up some music now, and I will give you a second for you to find your quadrant at this moment. How are you feeling in terms of energy and pleasantness? And please type in the chat your answers so that I know where you are standing right now. Are you in the red quadrant? Are you in the yellow one? Are you in the blue one? The green one? Where do two lines meet? What color are you landing in? So we've got yellow, we've got a green there, red, excellent. Nothing wrong with the colors. We'll share more information in a second. Mark is blue, excellent. Mark, it does not depend only on the day, it depends on the moment, because remember that emotions come and go all the time. Excellent. Great, thank you for sharing. Red and yellow. Excellent. Okay, so this is a nice example of how we can help our students connect with themselves so that they can do this emotional check-in that boosts self-awareness. In order for you to choose your numbers, in order for you to share your color with me, you really had to jump in and check in with yourselves, didn't you? So it's just 1 minute, but it will give you a lot of information about your students. And by the way, my dear teachers, whenever you see this kind of jumping suitcase there, it's because this is an idea that you can take with you in your toolbox today to share and to start using with your students. This is the emotional check-in, okay? And of course, there is nothing wrong about the colors because there is nothing wrong with emotions. Remember, emotions are information. There are no negative, neither negative nor positive emotions. Emotions are information. What we do with that, that's a completely different story because, of course, emotions are not behavior, right? Emotion does not equal behavior. It's a completely different story where we'll focus on in emotional regulation. Each of the quadrants, of course, is related to some specific emotions. Yes, so if you landed in the yellow one, we've got excitement, joy, different types of emotions. The green is more related to satisfaction, to feeling fulfilled and calm. If you are in the blue quadrant, there was someone in the blue quadrant. These are emotions more related to feeling lonely, maybe tired, exhausted, yes? And the red quadrant, of course, has to do with these more active, let's say, emotions, yes, that are related sometimes to feeling a little bit angry or exasperated or a little bit upset. There could be a mix of different emotions. Nothing wrong with the colors. They are just colors, okay? So with your younger students, you might use this activity with the different colors. With older students and teenagers and adults, it's good to go a little bit more specific so you can also work on the vocabulary to talk about emotions. We don't have like a full range of vocabulary in many cases to name our emotions. So the importance of emotional awareness and self-awareness is related to this aspect of identifying our emotions how accurate our self-perception about ourselves is, recognizing our strengths, our opportunities of development, and knowing that inhabiting our emotions is one of the most important skills we can develop. It is not about running away. It's not about jumping. It's not about going fast through the emotion because they are very uncomfortable, but it's exactly the opposite. It's about naming, inhabiting, so that then we can regulate, yes, and we can move into the second step. So I want to stop a little bit here and share an example from love, yes, from our platform itself, about how this skill is developed through global connections and this idea of introducing ourselves. So what I'm about to share is a real video from the real platform, from a student introducing herself. So you just have to give me a second. We all have to cross our fingers. Can you see now my screen? Yes. Can you see the video I am about to play? Yeah, can you all confirm that? So this is Katie. Thank you. Thank you, Margaret. So this is Katie, and she is introducing herself in the platform through a video. Let's listen to her.
I am a senior in high school this year, and I am in my school right now. I have a 9-period schedule, so I've got a bunch of classes, and I'm in my 4th period right now. About me, my family is made up of 5 people. I've got 2 younger brothers and my parents. I've got 3 dogs and I love them. And during my free time, I'm mostly working on the weekends at Wawa, which is just like a gas station. And then, oh, here's my art. Katie Martin there, the middle one, that one. And yeah, mostly I'm working on the weekends. I teach ESL.
So just a sample on how self-awareness is developed through these type of activities and connection with students from around the world, where students have to introduce themselves. And it seems like something very simple, but it's not that simple when we have to show others who we are, right? Who am I? And this is really developed through this skill of self-awareness in love. And of course, it is very much related to measuring student outcomes. So we have the opportunity in the platform to focus on very, very clear measured goals related to all these aspects of becoming global citizens, their confidence in communicating who they are, their culture, their global awareness, empathy. So we really have everything related to measuring real outcomes within these interchanges. The second aspect, as you can remember, is self-regulation, and it's all about impulse control. There are 2 aspects to self-regulation. I will be very brief today, but the first step is to show up to the feeling, yes, recognizing, as I said before, naming the emotion. And the second aspect is moving away from that emotion, that is precisely self-management and self-regulation. So how does this look in action, let's say? I want to share an activity that I've done with many different teachers and students. And this is an activity precisely that helps students recognize their own tool sets for regulating their emotions. So for example, when I feel like this, I do this, yes? So how does this emotion manifest, yes? And what do I do to make it better? So here we are with a group of students having a circle of reflection about how they feel when they feel something, what triggers that emotion or who triggers that emotion, and what helps them regulate the emotion. What helps you feel better when you feel sad? What helps you feel better when you feel disconnected, when you feel shame? What helps you? So this is the focus of this activity I'm sharing with you. You can take it with you today. It is as simple as sharing with your students, or maybe they don't feel comfortable sharing, right? So they might write down some ideas about when I feel an emotion, I do this. So what helps me is the question, yeah? So in this way, students can start recognizing their own power base of resources, yes, to deal with emotions. Sorry. Okay, let me move on. I can share the ideas of this activity later. This is about creating, this is for younger students, and having a calm box in your classes, in your classrooms, with different elements that might help your students as well regulate your emotions. There is a lot of connection between our own social and emotional competencies and the way those influence the quality of the learning experience. So what we also know is that the way we teachers feel impact the quality of the experience of our learners in this case. And I'm moving now into social awareness, which is interpersonal skills. Remember, in our circle, social awareness is extremely important. And of course, because I mentioned in my previous slide the importance of our own well-being, I want to share with you this activity that is called the Circle of Care. And it's about us teachers and taking care of us, our society of teaching. And the Circle of Care is, for example, for staff meetings, or you can do it online if you're still, I know that in Peru, for example, many classes still happen online. So this might happen also online. And the idea is to create, yes, a space where we feel secure and where we can be there and show up for others. So we start with a mindful moment to center our thoughts and our feelings. We use a piece so that everybody has their turn to share a need. And if I have the piece as a teacher, what I will share with my circle of care is my need. I might be in need of new materials, yes, for my class. I might need someone to help me with a digital tool I don't understand. I might need someone to help me contact a person that can help me create better slides for my presentations, whatever it is. The rest of my circle of care will offer their resources, whatever resources they've got. It can be a contact, it can be an activity, it can be a file, it can be simply being there to listen to each other, okay? But creating the circle of care is a very important element of building community in terms of our own teacher well-being. So when we arrived to this aspect of social awareness, this was my first activity that I wanted to share, and it is for us in this case, okay? Not for our students, but for us. So social and emotional learning, as I said before, and social awareness specifically, is all about empathy, is all about perspective taking, and it is all about embracing diversity. One of the great advantages of love is that in the platform, we are offered authentic experiences for our students to connect with each other, to learn from their different cultural backgrounds, to learn about the different foods they eat, to learn about the different layouts in schools or schedules during the day, whatever it is that might help us connect to a global world, which is so important to help our students embrace differences and become and be in touch with different life experiences. What could be better than offering our students the possibility of seeing the real life of another student somewhere else in the world with completely different cultural backgrounds? This is where the value of culture and language go together. In love, we have a lot of opportunities for that, and I would like to share a short video that describes precisely this connection.
Well, what I learned and discovered that I had no idea about before was that there were other kids across the globe who had such really similar experiences to ours. Like I thought like that we would just be like in our own little separate bubble, but I noticed how, as I watched other videos, how everyone had these very similar experiences, and I did not know that before. So I guess it like makes us more connected.
Very short, but just to
makes everything
share
seem a
with
lot
you
better.
how
So thank you.
students feel about this, yes? And how, in this case, they are sharing how it helped them. Maybe your students are in the United States and in Argentina, or I don't know, in the States and Bolivia or Peru or wherever it is. And we think that our lives are extremely different and so on. And maybe it is not so much like that. So it's all about social awareness and perspective taking and helping our students have those authentic opportunities to be in touch with other students, the same age range, but they have different experiences in life. How important that is to create social awareness. And this, of course, is very much related to diversity, equity, inclusion, social awareness, precisely, and relationship skills building, the other aspects of the social aspects in social and emotional learning, our social brain, is all about pairing. So we pair classrooms from around the world, and students have these wonderful opportunities to learn from different geographies and religions and all these life experiences that are varied and enriching. And of course, we tap on equity, yes, because there are different opportunities that we can offer students, yes, to offer equal opportunities for all of them to enjoy the benefits of love. And of course, inclusion, because it fosters a more welcoming and supportive environment that encourages participation, equal opportunity. So it is a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusions. These driver forces, these driving forces that are so important in helping our students develop their life skills today, right? So let me share a couple more ideas on the connection between precisely love and global connections and CEL and diversity and inclusion. All of them are paired and interwoven into creating a learning experience that might help our students be in touch with real life interchanges with other students from around the world. So it is a real thing. It is a real opportunity to help them connect with this global gene. Yes, we all talk about global awareness and how important this is in a globalized world where they will be working with people from India, from China, from wherever it is in the world. So it is more and more globalized. And this idea of embracing diversity through equity and inclusion is extremely important and comprises these elements, green elements I'm sharing with you from the social and emotional aspects, okay? Or building up for this. Level Up Village courses are structured in different ways, and all of them are correlated to the development of social and emotional strategies. So the introduction, the investigation they have to do later on, the interaction among themselves within a safe digital environment, the reflections they will have to carry out, and how they will build their own awareness, both self and social, they are all related to everything that happens in terms of social and emotional development. So, my dear teachers, I will open up the chat because it's time to recap. Are you ready for a very short revision before we finish, before we go into the questions and so on? Yes, I want to read all your yeses, all the yes in the chat. Okay, we'll do this a little bit differently, okay? Because it's the end of the session. So let's get a little bit more energetic and let's move a little bit. I will be sharing with you some ideas in my slide, okay? And there will be some music on. So this is going to be a brain-friendly little assessment, little recap and revision before we finish our session today. So if the answer to whatever you read in the slide is yes, you will have to finger snap, but you will have to cross your hands, yes? Finger snapping. If you think that the answer to what I'm sharing with you in the slide is no, you will have to put your hands to your ears and change them. That's very difficult at this time. I'm tired already. So, okay, yes. If the answer is no, you will have to go with your hands to your ears, opposite hands, okay? So right hand, left ear, and the other way around. Are you ready? I will play some music and we'll get started. Some Latin music to finish today. I cannot see you, but I'm sure you will be doing it with me, okay? Yes, CPR, absolutely. So have a look at my first idea. Is it a yes or a no? What do you think? A yes or a no? Yes. So it's a finger snapping moment. Yes? Finger snapping. There you go. All snapping. Excellent. Another one. Self-regulation is about blocking and denying our emotions. So what do you think? You think it's like this? Yes. It's a big no. Remember? Self-regulation is all about inhabiting, naming our emotions so that then we can move into decreasing the intensity. Yeah? Number 3. Cell has benefits for us, teachers. Snap those fingers. Yes, 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 yes. Remember the research I shared earlier today? Yes, a lot of research on the impact. And let me just say this before we finish. There is no way to start with social and emotional learning except with ourselves. Don't go to your students. Here is where it starts, okay? Here is where the story starts. Another one. See, is there a connection between cell and academics? This is a big no. No, there is connection. In fact, the biggest research study says that the increase in terms of more positive academic outcomes is of 11%. Okay, so it's really very interesting. Last one, remember deep learning? Only the brain. Oh, please. Okay, I just touched both my ears. It's a big, huge. No, remember my pyramid? Where's my pyramid? Okay, here's my pyramid. Yes, cognitive aspect is extremely important, but we have the social brain and we have the emotional aspect, okay? Okay, my dear teachers, so thank you for sharing this moment with you. This is another idea you can take away and use it with your students for a little bit more fun, revision, yes, and recaps. So just a quote by that says, the gardener does not make flowers or the garden grow. The job of a gardener is to create the optimal conditions for those flowers, for that garden to flourish. I like to think of ourselves, teachers, as gardeners in our students' lives. So as Sir Ken Robinson says, we should be gardeners of our students' lives, okay? And just one more minute with a short video to close up our session today, and then we'll move into questions, okay? Oops, there we go.
When a child is born, we do everything we can to protect them, nurture them, love them. A child's heart and mind are fragile. As they grow, we want to teach them everything we know. We send them to school to fill their minds with wonderful knowledge, to give them the tools they need for life. At school, they get a taste of what things are like in the world outside. There is friendship, romance, disappointment, embarrassment, discrimination, and bullying. But are the tools we give them enough to prepare them for this world? We have an enormous responsibility and an amazing opportunity. If we truly want to prepare them for the world outside, we must also educate the heart. Because to navigate the world outside with compassion, acceptance, and tolerance, we need to teach them compassion, acceptance, and tolerance. This can begin in our schools, and it can start today. It can happen at hockey practice, dance class, at day camps, and music lessons. And it's already happening around the world with astonishing results. If we want our children to grow into socially and emotionally capable young people, we must ask for a balanced education that puts importance on educating both the mind and the heart.
So I'm handing it over to Gosha. I'm handing back this to Gosha. But before I do, this is very important. Are you still with me? Type a yes in the chat. Are you still here with me? We are all, okay. You need to scan this QR code, okay? And now the girls, Gosha and probably Vici, will just wrap it up. Thank you so much, everyone, for being there. I had a great time. Gosha, over to you.
Thank you so much. It's getting dark in here, so I feel like I'm in a dungeon. But thank you. I think we're all bouncing in our chairs with that fantastic music you were playing in the background. So thank you so much, Monica. I think we all learned something new today. So thank you, thank you. I want to see if there are any questions in the chat, but I'm not seeing any. Virginia, have you noticed any questions?
No, Gosha, well, thank you, Moni, for everything. It's been a great session. What we have is a comment from Mark, and that he says that he teaches Spanish as a second language, and this has been a challenging year to manage relationships and regulating his own emotions in the classroom. After a year to 2 years at home, my students and I are having challenges in these areas. And I think it's great that he can share these emotions and feelings with all of us. Mark, I
Absolutely.
think that yeah.
Absolutely, we've been through a lot. So I guess that we've learned to appreciate the importance of social and emotional skills during pandemics. And now we are also, dealing and coping with all the problems that all these brought to us, and with our students struggling and with ourselves still struggling. I think it's still very important, as you mentioned, to regulate our own emotions first, to be present with ourselves first, to be compassionate with ourselves first, so that then we can be better available for our students, right?
So true.
And remember, remember to go into the QR code, right?
Yes.
I guess they are all typing in the chat.
So
there's one more thing. Sorry, Gosha. There's one more thing from Anne-Marie. Says, nice video. Can I have the link to that video, please? So then we're going to send the information, yes, to.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. So we will follow up with an email in a day or two with the link to the recording. So maybe Monica, if you send me the link to the video you played, I can also attach it.
Absolutely.
Include it in the email, so you'll have it all in one place. So we've heard so many great examples, and how social and emotional learning is developed with the Level Up Village program. Please scan the code if you want to stay in touch, if you want to become part of our global community. You see the link to the website where you can find a little bit more information. And here are the 2 email addresses of our team members, Virginia, who's on the call, and Paula, who's lurking in the background, but she's there. She's our content manager, development manager, and she's the brain behind this wonderful program. So if you have questions, if you want to learn more, if you want a live demo by one of our team members, please contact us. We're happy to show you more, and we hope you stay in touch because we have a lot of great things coming this year. And with that, I want to thank everybody who joined and stayed till now, past our 1 hour. So with that, I want to wish everybody good night. And again, thank you, Monica, for this wonderful webinar. I think
My pleasure.
We all learned a lot. Good night,
My
everybody.
pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.